Good evening and welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Alex Lord. Man, were we wrong when we talked about the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Philadelphia Phillies? I didn't even think this series was going to come back to Philly. It did. Philly was up 3-2. Oh, nobody can win at the bank. Nobody can win at the bank. Like this is home field in football or home field in basketball or something. It's not. They learn the hard thing. Listen, I understand Phillies fans. They haven't been to the playoffs that often. You know, this is only their second year in the last 12 years. So they don't understand that postseason baseball is just an absolute crapshoot and you can lose to absolutely anybody. But the cockiness that they showed after the Braves, man, the city of second place, they really never do disappoint. This was an all-time, and I don't refer to a lot of things as choke jobs. But this one, I think if there is a choke job in baseball, this is as close as it gets because I think everyone has a chance to win on any given night. It doesn't matter where the game's being played. You saw how the ALCS went. Nobody won a game at home. You see how the Phillies lose both games on the road. It really is just baseball. Like, that's how it is. But going back home at a place where you were undefeated to this point in the postseason and losing 2 games to a not a very good baseball team. I'm not going to sit here. Congrats to the Diamondbacks. They played great in October, yada, yada, yada. They're not a great baseball team. They went 84-78. They had a negative run differential. Only the second team in the history of baseball to make the World Series with a negative run differential. And we can talk about the playoff format and spanning the playoffs at another time because I hate it. I absolutely do not like it. I do not like the fact that there's 6 teams in there because listen, like I said, it's baseball. Anybody can win. The first 2 years of this playoff format, the 6th seed in the NL has made it both times. And that's what's going to happen when you expand baseball because it's not football. It's not where you have this crazy home field advantage. You can't give a number 1 seed a big enough advantage in the sport of baseball to where it's not going to avoid this type of randomness. But that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the choke job that is the Philadelphia Phillies. Their lineup, like the Braves in the NLCS, laid down like a dead dog at home against a pitching staff that isn't anything to write home about. And they lose this. They totally blue-balled their entire fan base. I love it. It's amazing. But welcome to the postseason. This is what happens.
It couldn't have happened to a better group of people, really. I mean, Philly fans were pretty much counting their chickens after they beat the Braves. After they beat the Braves, there was not a doubt in their mind that they were at least going to the World Series. And many of them were counting their chickens that they had already won the World Series. And that's what the old saying goes. That's why the old saying says, don't count your chickens before they're hatched. And they didn't hatch for the Phillies. It's pretty hilarious. It couldn't have happened to a better group of people. Those guys are just absolute menaces. I'm never going to tell somebody how to fan. I appreciate their passion, but they are just scum sometimes. I mean, Philly scum. That's what they call them.
Yes, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. I mean, I'm honestly in utter shock.
Hang on. What? It's crazy because I wasn't rooting for the Phillies' demise for the players. I like Bryce Harper. I like Nick Castellanos, Aaron Nola, LSU alum. I even like Zach Wheeler. I can appreciate his greatness, what he's done in the postseason. Trey Turner, JT Realmuto. There's countless guys on that team that I love as players. It's just the fan base. That's the craziest thing. And I think a lot of people, other than maybe Bryce Harper's a very polarizing superstar, but that's what happens when you're a superstar. You get people who love you, get people who hate you. I love him. He's a class act. He's been clutch other than in this game 7. There's really nothing to hate about the guy. Now, everybody else is generally universally loved. The only reason it was kind of felt like Phillies against the world for Philly fans is because of Philly fans. That's why everybody wanted the Phillies to lose. That's why everybody was Diamondback fans. It wasn't this David versus Goliath, like we want the underdog to win. It was purely based on Philly fans being just the worst human beings ever. That's what it was. That's why everybody was rooting for you. So now you have to sit here and take your medicine.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I love it because I like the passion that they show. I like the rivalry.
Yeah, it makes it interesting. It makes it interesting.
I feel like you get good back and forth. I mean, I think 7,000 comments, I think, on TikTok from talking crap to them. I mean, I love it. This is what I was born to do. This is where I love to be. But just realize if you don't win it all, I'm going to be here talking as much crap as possible because guess what? Hang the banner. You beat the Braves in the NLDS. Hang the banner. You went to the World Series one time in the last 20 years. congratulations. You didn't win anything. You are once again the city of never getting it done. And you know what? I thought after the Braves series, after Bryce Harper dominated us, because that's what he did. He absolutely dominated us. We should send him Father's Day cards. I don't even care that he didn't win. We really did. It was that dominating of a performance in the end. I was jealous of the relationship Bryce Harper has with Phillies and the fans and how much credit he gives them and how they kind of just seem like they fit so perfectly together. But if I forgot about one thing, they actually are the most absolutely perfect marriage. Because just like the Phillies can't get it done, just like the entire city of sports in Philadelphia can't get it done, neither can Bryce Harper. Because Bryce Harper will show up in the NLDS. He might show up in the NLCS. But when push comes to shove in the biggest moments of his career, he has failed time and time again. And guess who that is? The Philadelphia sports teams. Every single team. Jalen Hurts can get you there. He can get you right there, right at the 1-inch line. Guess what? Couldn't get it done. The 76ers can't even beat the Atlanta Hawks. They can't even hold a 30-point lead at home. The Philadelphia Phillies can get all the way there, and then Bryce Harper's going to hit 200 in the World Series like he did last year, or he's going to go 0 for 7 in Game 6 and 7 at the bank, where nobody wins at the bank. Nobody wins at the bank. Nobody wins at the bank except the crappy little Arizona Diamondbacks, apparently. I'm glad that can also be put to bed. They think they have this ridiculous home field advantage in a sport where home field advantage is not that significant. I'm glad we can finally put that to bed, because there's no way you can still say this crap after you go on Game 6 and Game 7 and lose. It's amazing.
I'm not going to go as far. The Eagles did have a Super Bowl with a backup. Maybe these Phillies teams should go to backups, and maybe they'll win. I will say this, though, in support of you. The Eagles did win that Super Bowl. It was a while ago, but still, it's still relevant history. Here's the point, is that Philly teams are always in it. I'm not saying the Phillies or the 76ers or Eagles, but one of them, generally two of them, are always kind of in it. And to your point, cannot get it done. Other than that one special Eagles run with Nick Foles, which doesn't make any sense across any sport ever. They're constantly in it and constantly fall short and constantly disappoint their fans. That's why they're so rude and angry and honorary. I mean, they're just angry because as us Atlanta fans, we've never had that kind of hope. The Braves are our only hope. The Falcons, listen, 2016 was a drop in a bucket. The Falcons have never been.
Whoa. No, it wasn't.
The Hawks and Falcons are dropping a bucket.
The Falcons were in it every single year.
Dropping a bucket.
With Matt Ryan, they haven't. I mean, listen, the Falcons in my lifetime have, like, maybe over the course of their tenure and the entire tenure of their franchise, but in my lifetime, the Falcons have had Michael Vick and Matt Ryan. Like, they have been a tremendously good team, just like the Saints in my lifetime have been a good team, but historically, very bad team. I agree with you there. But in my lifetime, I don't have experience. I don't care what happened before the 2000s. It doesn't matter. None of that stuff matters. But from 2000 to 2017, the Falcons were in the playoffs most years. They made several NFC championships appearances. They should have won a damn Super Bowl. You can comment 28-3 because this is the other thing. Comment 28-3. None of that stuff bothers me, because guess what? In 2021, the Braves won the World Series. They did what you could not do. And it doesn't matter that you beat us the last 2 years, because guess what? We're going to come out next year, win the division again, be a top seed. And you better hope you play good enough to make the wild card and get out of that game to even get to us, because that's what's going to happen. You are not going to win the division. You are not a better team than us. We are going to win the division. We're going to win over 100 games. And yeah, hopefully we can pray to the baseball gods, or we have to do so our bats come alive. But at the end of the day, you had 2 opportunities to get it done. I don't think it's going to happen a third time. Does lightning strike 3 times in the same spot? We'll see.
Well, also, we're talking about windows, championship windows. I mean, the Braves is just barely cracked open, whereas the Phillies is barely cracked close. A lot of their guys, I know they just signed Trey Turner to the big deal. Bryce Harper's halfway through his deals. They still got the stars. Aaron Nola's probably out of there. GT Realmuto is still there long term. But the fact of the matter is those guys are around the age of 30 and some of them not on the right side of 30, whereas the Brave superstars are all around 25 and under 30. So our championship window's wide open.
Yeah, which is crazy to say because we've been there the last 6 years and they've just started to get there. And they get there most of the time on a seeding that shouldn't even be there because they had to expand playoffs to let teams like the Phillies in. Hey, after the break, Will Levis, we're going to talk about it. He's starting against the Falcons.